All right, hopefully I'm not green. Let me check. Yo, I'm not green. Let's go. Okay, let me actually pull myself up. Okay, cool. Um, I had to like restart my whole computer and everything, and that seems to have fixed it. Yay, we're live. Let's go. Let me just get all my links back out so that everyone knows. And then, unfortunately, one of the things I hate with YouTube streaming is that with YouTube streaming, it doesn't like, it's not the same link, right? So at Twitch, you just refresh the page. With YouTube, it's like, oh, you have to get the new link to the new stream. And I feel like it should just be the link, but whatever. Green screen prints unconfirmed. Nice. Okay. Whew. Hopefully, viewers return. Let me just tweet out real quick that, hey guys, um, had to restart PC, but we are back. Come and join us. Yeah, no idea why YouTube hasn't gotten up to speed on that. Okay, so it's like, it sucks, man, because on one hand, YouTube streaming is awesome, right? Like on one hand, YouTube streaming like has all these things that say like Twitch doesn't have in terms of like monetization. It's better there. But the problem is that it also lacks a lot of stuff that Twitch has because Twitch has just been in the game longer. So while a lot of creators are loving YouTube streaming right now, it also kind of sucks. I'm praying for a near announcement. Me too. Me too. I would love to see the rumors about a new Drakengard, apparently. Drakengard or Drakengard? I don't know. I always hear everyone pronounce it differently. I'm going to go with Drakengard. But some people are like, Drakengard. Anyways, thank you guys so much for coming back. If only there was a way to merge the best bits of Twitch and YouTube with none of the bullshit. Oh, brother. You and me both. You and me both. I wish there was a way. I wish it was a thing already. Unfortunately, it's not a thing yet, but maybe one day it will be. Like, if YouTube could have like the chat interface of Twitch, because the chat interface of Twitch is just better. The emotes on Twitch are better. So much stuff on Twitch is better, but YouTube is a bit better about the monetization. They're better about VODs. YouTube also isn't as stingy as Twitch, right? Like with YouTube, we can stream all day. All of my streams are automatically archived, right? Remember when people used to have a VOD channel to like upload all of their VODs to, which was such a pain to do. And you don't have to do that anymore with YouTube because you can just upload that. I mean, it just automatically uploads that shit after you finish streaming, and then it stays there forever. You know, it's not like oh, you have so many days where we're running out of storage type situation. NSP, yo, what the fuck? When did you start to look like a JoJo character? Oh, thank you. Highest compliment I can fucking get. Thank you. That was a slow progression, man. A slow progression of me lifting, especially over the past 3 years. So I've been into fitness like casually since I was like around 18 or 19. I started working out. But don't get mistaken. 90% of the gains that you see right now are like from me working out over the past like 3 years, right? Because I would work out and then I'd stop. I'd work out and then I'd stop. So it's really only been the past 3 years that that I put on the most muscle mass and got the leanest that I've ever gotten in my life. Because I remember I remember like it was like a coach in actually it was like my PE class in like college. Like you know you have to take like a fitness credit. And he said something like most of you if you aren't in sports right now, you probably won't get into good shape until you're like late 20s, early 30s. And he was like the reason is that like in like your your early 20s, you don't have the stability in life to actually like really get fit. And you know, at the time, I was like, "The fuck are you talking about? I can go to the gym. I can eat a lot. Except you really can't do those things at like the right type of consistency in your early 20s, practically speaking. Now, don't get me wrong. You can definitely make probably the most gains in your whole fucking life in your early 20s because that's when your testosterone levels are great. That's when you're young and you can like hit the fucking gym, you know? You have the energy to always do it. Problem is though, is that like for most people, the life stability, like where they're consistently like living in one place and then they can make their own meals and like they can do all the things that they need to do, probably happens like around 26 to 28 for most people. That's when like things start to like maybe not like be as crazy. But even then, like, you know, those late 20s nowadays are also kind of like insane. So, you know, really nowadays it's more like your early 30s, it tends to be like where you can actually just like confidently put in all the work. Thank you guys for all the birthday wishes. Rumors say about a Drakengard related announcement. So this time I am putting on extra clown makeup. I know, and that's like that's super crazy too because um you know who would expect Drakengard of all? I know I keep pronouncing it both ways, but who would expect Drakengard to be a thing in general? I think the most surprising thing about that rumor to me and what almost makes it legit is that like Drakengard getting a new thing is just something that I just did not expect at all. If anything, I would expect a new Nier. And also, even if something was called Drakengard, I would also expect them to sneak Nier into the title some way. I'm sure on the box or something they'll put like part of the Nier series or something like that, just because Nier is astronomically more popular than Drakengard. Nico, thank you so much for the tier 1, brother. Thank you for the 60 months. God damn, dude. 52-month streak. My guy. I don't know if you know this or not, but your YouTube stream is saying unavailable. No, I think that's the old YouTube stream. I had to update the link. Yeah, I just checked. Okay, I almost had a heart attack. Yeah. The old link should say unavailable, but the new one that I just updated should say that it is available. Yeah. So you probably click the old link. Now let me make sure that my community post also has the updated link. I had too much caffeine for this. I hope I sleep tonight, chat. I really do. I really do. But if they announce something good, I'm not going to sleep anyway because I'm going to be, you know, locked in. I'd be happy to try a new Drakengard. Only played an hour or so of the first one, but enjoyed flying dragon battles. Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be really exciting. What if it was literally called Nier Drakengard? I So funny story about that Icefire. I used to tell my friend who's a massive Drakengard fan. He's like a Drakengard fan to the point of where he doesn't even like Nier as much. I mean, he likes Nier, don't get me wrong. It's just that like he would take Drakengard over Nier any day because he's that much of like a Yoko Taro purist. And so I kept joking with him that it's gonna be called Nier Drakengard because you know, other than like the hardcore people who are like way into Nier and way into Yoko Taro, They probably don't know what the fuck Drakengard is, but they know that 2B isn't everything, and they like 2B, and they like A2, and they know about that, but they may not know about Drakengard. So, yeah. Has NSP gotten the code to review FF Tactics? I did not request a review code for Tactics. And the reason I did not is because I plan to just play Tactics here on stream with the rest of you guys. So, do not expect a Tactics review, day one review from me, but please expect a Tactics review that will come after we complete it on stream. And that will likely be the next essay that we do after Kingdom Hearts 1, which I am knee deep in the KH1 essay right now, and it is taking an astronomical amount of time. I think the way I'm going to do it next time, I approach writing one of these because I fucked up, right? Like, what I should do when I make these is that I should write them as I go. One, because my thoughts are fresher, and then two, because it just condenses the amount of time. Skyward Wing, what's up, my guy? Thank you so much for joining us. Brother, are you on that KH4 copium right now? You're at work? Oh, man. Well, at least you get to, like, watch it while you're at work. So, that's fine. The worst type of jobs, you can't even, like, watch it. You have to, like, lock in the whole time. Drakengard has such a good story, but not great gameplay. If they could bump it up, then I'll be on board. Yeah, I'm sure whatever they do, it will be better than Drakengard 1 through 3, right? In terms of gameplay. I don't think they can really go down. But if they can keep the good story and elevate the gameplay, then it's going to be amazing. Master Key, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, man. Happy birthday. I can't believe you're finally 21 and can legally drink. If they show KH4 now, I'm going to be hated. Bro, okay, so I remember when I used to work and I used to do this. And it was so funny because every time I was at work, that's when the big video game would show up. And I hated it. NSP, do you think we'll get a Drakengard remake? Maybe. Maybe it will be a remake. And, you know, they could also tie the remake of Drakengard into the Nier stuff and be like, hey, this is the origin story of Nier. So maybe they'll be like Nier Origins, semicolon, or colon, Drakengard. Or Drakengard Nier Origins. You're 21. I could have swore you were born in the 90s. No. I'm 34. I'm a hella 90s baby. I was born in 90 fucking 1. Yeah. So, I'm as 90s baby as it gets, unless I was born a year earlier. But, you know, thankfully, people even still question, like, oh, you're in your 20s? Like, it's like a believable thing. So, I like that. I do. That's awesome. I like that people can even, like, pause and think, like, wait. Right? NSP is 34 but looks 21. Life ain't fair. No, I mean, I got some like signs of aging a little bit. Like, you look back at like my older videos, you can definitely tell my face was a little fatter. But granted, I was also a little fatter, so I don't know. I don't know. It's your haircut? Okay, probably so. Right? Like, here's the thing about like hair. Like if you have good hair density, and then I do kind of have like the zoomer broccoli cut, but like if you have like good hair density, then people tend to like think that you're younger than you are. So I kind of lucked out on that. Voice was a bit different too. Voice was a lot different. Voice was a lot different. You guys ever go back and like watch videos from me in like 2019, 2018, God forbid 2017, and I sound so different. I don't know about you guys. I absolutely cannot fucking stand my voice from that era. Like, I cannot listen to my voice from that era. It pains me to hear that shit. I literally am like, turn that fucking shit off. I literally am like, bro, what the fuck? Okay, hold on. Let's actually like pull up like an old ass NSP video. Like oh, I know the one, guys. I know the one. Okay, let's go back. We're gonna watch the first fucking NSP video ever. That'll show him. Oh man. Wait, is it not this one? Hold on. I have one that's like, oh wait, maybe I just need to be in theater mode. I do. There we go. Perfectly cropped. Here's the first night sky video ever made. I keep trying to like perfectly crop this. There we go. But let's go back. I'm not going to be able to. Okay, so this video was titled Final Fantasy 15-2 is possible. Here is how. So I'll give you like a little bit of context for this. At the time, I was really inspired by my brother Pez. So I was watching a lot of his, let me see some real quick. So I was watching a lot of my fellow content creators' videos, and essentially, I was like deep into the FF15 theories and stuff like that. So I was watching his stuff, and I was like, I want to try to make a video like that. So I made this video, and it was, they should do Final Fantasy 15 too. So the reason I thought that was like something that they might do was because I was like, they did 13-2 under similar circumstances because they spent a lot of money on the engine and the game, and rolling over those assets seemed to make sense, right? Like, it seemed like you can make a quick sequel. They did it for 10, they did it for 13. So I don't know. Your voice is soothing though. Like, you're my choice to narrate my audiobook one day. I'll do it. Finish the book and I'll do it. But okay, let's listen.
Top is saying there are currently no plans for a Final Fantasy 15-2. It doesn't mean that it's out of the question. With even an unpopular Final Fantasy like 13 getting a sequel because of cost efficiency, it begs the question of if Final Fantasy 15 has been a sequel.
I can't do it. Why does he sound like this? Roy Mustang, thank you for the super chat. Happy birthday. This is probably hopefully it's good stuff. So okay, let's keep watching. Hopefully it's good stuff. So okay, let's keep watching.
What would it be like? After all, they did spend 10 years worth of development costs on Final Fantasy 15, including the cost of the Luminous Studio engine. Now I know what you're thinking. How the hell would they do a Final Fantasy 15-2? After all, many of the primary characters died in the first, and it wouldn't make much sense to do a direct sequel unless we got a whole game of Iris the Demon Slayer, which might not be half bad. No, what I would propose...
Okay. I wish they actually did do something with that, because they kept teasing like Iris became like this badass demon slayer, and they kept building up on that, and they were like, yo man, Iris is gonna become so cool. She's like 5 years older after the time skip, right? So this is going to be like an adult version of her that we're going to see get re-revealed. She's going to have like a brand new character design. And they were like, Iris has basically become like this hero of Lucis. And then literally nothing. Nothing. The potential of Final Fantasy 15 and Versus and all this stuff that Square had worked on over the years is just insane. Anyone else getting a bunch of buffering on YouTube? Yeah, YouTube, we're having just like some issues on YouTube. Hopefully it's not too much buffering that's happening on there. And I just went and clicked on it. But if you are having buffering on it, you can always hop onto the Twitch chat until it seems to. Okay, it seems like it straightened itself out. I'm looking at it right now. You sound so DB, but it's cute. Love the glove. Oh my god, dude. I'm glad you love it because I'm cringing. I'm cringing so hard. Okay, let's go.
Would be a Final Fantasy 15 Zero, an entire game on the backstory of Arden Lucius Kylum. This would be great for a number of reasons. Most Final Fantasy fans weren't entirely satisfied with 15's story, considering there were a number of details and cutscenes that didn't make it into the main game. One of those things being the lore, such as the goddess Eos, or why Ifrit doesn't like humans, weren't fully explained or explored at all. This would also be a perfect way to give fans more of the details without having to create endless DLC, patches, fixes, which may not even answer all the deeper lore questions fans still yearn about. Arden was one of the most interesting Final Fantasy villains we've seen in a long while. I'm talking about this guy has more layers than an ogre, a man who is the king of light, the only other king of light other than
Also, Shrek reference. Let's go.
Noctis that we know about, a great healer who was ostracized from his people. This story could tell a much darker, deeper plot that we wanted since Versus 13. Imagine playing as a young Arden who starts out with such a promising future as the King of Light, who'll be able to cure the Star Scourge, and then slowly everything is ripped from him. It could be a truly interesting and dark story with many other themes that we had seen previously. Imagine Arden has a brotherhood like Noctis, and after finding out that Arden is deemed too impure to be the King of Light from absorbing demons, his brotherhood turns on him and abandons him. In fact, when Arden told Noctis about Prompto being an MT, he was trying to test if Noctis would ostracize his friend the same way he was. There's so much room for deep meaning here. Imagine that Arden is set to marry a woman before being anointed as the King of Lucius, and she turns
Okay, I was kind of right about this.
against him after finding out he is no longer worthy of the crystal's light. This would give an incredible deal of
I kind of ended up being right about that. That kind of ended up happening with what was her name? Era? 15 might be the best story told in the worst way possible, but dang, do I still love it? I know. Like, there's so many. 15 is like so fucking interesting. Right? It's like one of the most interesting like Final Fantasy games. And like honestly, like for all the criticism of modern FF stories like with 13, 15, 16, I don't think that 13, 15 or 16 have bad stories whatsoever. But like the common criticism that you could, or like the commonality between all of them that you can make as a criticism is that they do all have a problem with how they end up presenting a lot of their story stuff. I have a theory about why that's the case. Part of it is because it used to be easier and cheaper to do like flashback scenes, right? Because you didn't have to make such like a detailed model for every single character, and you didn't have to make it was a lot easier to like, you know, reframe the environments and stuff. And now they can't do like as many flashbacks and in-betweens and stuff like that. So like, you know, there's plenty of examples with 15. The buffering is so bad for you? Really? Dang. Because I'm watching it live on my end, and it doesn't seem to be buffering from YouTube here. But again, if the problem is bad, you can switch over to Twitch, and Twitch doesn't seem to be having the issue right now. So That, or you can just put it a few seconds behind, and I think it should work out just fine. I would say that 15 deserves a remake more than any other SE game. Okay. Are we back? Yo, wait. It killed. Oh, wait. Did it kill the YouTube? Did it kill the Twitch stream? Wait, is the Twitch? Okay, Twitch stream's back. Okay. I don't know what's going on, guys. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully this resolves. If we need to like restart the, okay. It's back, but it keeps pausing. Okay, I'm like watching it on my end. Seems okay. But okay. Hopefully we're good. Hopefully we're good. You jinxed it when you said switch to Twitch, no issues. I know. I know. Twitch is fine at the moment, it seems. Okay. Good deal. Okay. And then we're fine on YouTube as well, I think, right? Okay. Thank God. This is why we start early, way ahead of the state of play. Lexi Rockstar, thank you so much for the Prime sub. I appreciate it. Okay, let's finish.
Context as to why he would kill Lunafreya, seeing her as the image of the woman who betrayed him. Many of the summon fights that didn't make it into the original.
Wait, actually, that kind of ended up happening. Yo, that actually ended. Either I ended up predicting what they were gonna do, or they watched this video and they were kind of like, actually, he's kind of cooking. And it's gone. No, am I gone? Am I gone, chat? We still got you? No. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why? Why? Okay, it looks like, no, it looks like I'm still alive. I'm still alive on, okay. Okay, it looks like I'm still alive. I'm here. Okay, good deal. Good deal. I'm looking at my stream here, and it looks like I am alive. I do not look dead. Okay, sweet.
Who betrayed him. Many of the summon fights that didn't make it into the original could also find their way into this one. I, for one, think fighting Rama or Bahamut would prove incredibly interesting. There are so many things that could be done with this story.
Why did I pronounce Bahamut like that?
Possibilities are pretty much endless. Tell me, what do you guys think? Would you like to see a Final Fantasy 15-2 or a prequel, Final Fantasy 15-0? Subscribe and let everyone know in the comments below what you would like to see in a Final Fantasy 15 continuation.
Good times. Good times. Night Sky cosplaying. I was like, was like 26. You sound like you're 10. I was a baby. I was a baby, dude. I was a young pup. Oh man, good times. But anyway, yeah. Also, as far as the microphone, it's so funny. So basically, what happened is I was like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be doing this. Like that was my thought at the time. Like I don't know if anyone will care. So I bought a $40 microphone off of Amazon, and I was just like, well, I'll record this video, and if people like it, then um I'll make another one. And I didn't even buy the $10 pop filter, by the way. So I would manually edit out the pops anytime I did the because I was too fucking lazy and broke and non-committed. And I was just like, okay, well then I'll just like edit out the pops manually. And yeah, and so basically yeah, dude, I was so fucking lame. I was so lame. So I said, okay, I'll just edit out the pops manually, and if people end up liking the video, then I'll end up getting a pop filter. So, anyways, you guys did end up liking the videos, and honestly, I can't listen to anything before I got my Shure microphone, which is this new one, which I only got in like the past year or so. Actually, yeah, I think this thing just turned like 1 year old for me. Because before that, I had like a Blue Yeti, and I can't even listen to my Blue Yeti stuff anymore because I'm just like, when I hear the Shure microphone, it's so crisp. It makes me sound so good and professional. And yeah, I've been operating very ghetto for like a really long time. um, Young NSP compared to now is lacking the coolness. Yeah, I think so. Well, I think when I was younger, I was just a lot more insecure about presenting myself online and talking, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I didn't really know how to conduct myself. Uh, so many different issues, but I worked all those things out through experience and being on here. Nowadays, you can get a $20 mic sound like a $200 mic in OBS. Yeah, you really can. You can do a lot. But for whatever reason, I couldn't get my mic to sound great with the settings. I do think that like if you're going to be a content creator like long term, getting a Shure mic is worth it because you don't have to do much at all, and this thing sounds fucking awesome. They can keep Final Fantasy IX remake if they make Parasite Eve and or FF8 remake. I don't know if Square could remake Parasite Eve right now. I don't mean that legally or anything. I mean like I don't think that they have the experience to make something like Parasite Eve. I don't think they could remake it right now. Like I think in order to remake Parasite Eve, they would need to outsource it to another company because I just don't feel like Square internal right now could properly remake Parasite Eve. I just don't, because the team that would do it would be Creative Studio One, right? And they have done like a fairly good job with the FF7 remakes in a lot of ways, but yeah, I don't know. Do you play any games off stream, NSP? Yeah, of course. Wondering if you're gonna finish Silk Song or play Silent Hill F. The answer to both of those is yes. We're actually going to probably pause Trails and play Silent Hill F and then go back to Trails. I promise you I'm not abandoning trail. But I just really wanted to play Silent Hill F, and it's quick, right? That's like a... How long is Silent Hill F? Let me find out. I imagine it's like 15 hours. Okay, an average playthrough of Silent Hill F should take 12 to 14 hours. So literally, we can knock it out in like 2 streams, maybe 3. So it'll only take us 1 week to play Silent Hill F. I finished Silent Hill F earlier today, and it was something. Oh, that doesn't sound good, brother. 12 hours? 10 to 12 hours on hard, which is the difficulty you should play. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm definitely going to play it on hard. I think I've gotten to a point now where I play... Every game I play is going to be on hard for the most part. I think Trails is the only thing that we're doing on normal. And the only reason we're doing Trails on normal is because turn-based RPGs, if you don't really know the ins and outs and the depth of the system very thoroughly, then it can honestly be a pain to get through. Or it'll make you grind, and you don't even need to grind because you're trying to outgrind your lack of strategy and understanding of the system. In a weird way, it's easier to cheese action games on hard because as long as you're a skilled, knowledgeable action game player, you can literally just outskill how bad you are at the actual game, at the game's build and progression systems, right? You can literally just be so skilled that you skip over that shit entirely. And honestly, just even trying it is a lot more fun. Whereas I feel like with a turn-based game, you need to... The fun actually comes in from being like, I am knowledgeable of the system, and now I want to like push that knowledge to the limit. You mean you can out-cheese how the devs intended you to beat it? Right, but you can also like perform the mechanics so well that there's just fucking nothing that the game can do about it, right? Like, if the game has like a parry mechanic and it's possible to just avoid taking damage with like your base level of abilities, then you can pretty much ignore a ton of shit in the game and just literally just power through it. So, which is to say, I guess like, basically, I've started playing anything that's like an action game. I basically always play it on hard now instead of playing on normal because I feel like the game is just more fun when you play it on hard. And also, like, I guess like I've just gotten to the point where I play like most stuff, action games on normal now, and either it's too easy or I just don't engage with the game enough. And I just ignore shit. At least when the game is hard, I have to like kind of engage with it a little bit more. Controversially enough, I'm going to just say it. I feel like it is always better to make a brutally hard game than it is to make a game that's too easy. I do. I don't know if that's a hot take, chat, but I do feel like it is better to make a game that is really fucking hard than a game that's really easy. And I know you're going to start saying, boo, I'm tired of like the Souls approach. But realistically, when you look at like the gaming landscape, whenever a game gets called too hard, it almost always ends up going viral. Something around the discourse of like difficulty makes people like really lock into a game. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be different difficulty modes. I'm just saying that like if you had the choice between making a game too hard or too easy, it's way, like, infinitely better to make a game too hard than to make a game too easy. Because when a game is too hard, it actually causes like people to form community around beating it, and it also makes streaming it more interesting. So I actually do think it is better to make games that are challenging more than it is to make games that are too easy. But again, I'm not saying there shouldn't be difficulty options. I'm just saying that like you should probably gear your game to be harder and be more challenging than not. And then have an easy mode available for those who can't overcome that challenge or just don't want to participate in it. But that is true unless the story is incredible or is a game where difficulty doesn't matter, like Life is Strange, Detroit. Right. The reason that difficulty works so well is that like people ignore a lot of mechanics and people just don't care and they don't dig deep into the game. And then when you put the shit on hard, then all of a sudden people like start to enjoy a game a lot more because they have to utilize everything the game offers. And so they get the big picture of the game a lot more. FF16 is a good example. If that game had been challenging, more people would have enjoyed it a lot more. I think that like my opinion of that game could have been a lot different had the game challenged me right out of the gate. Easy games just need higher difficulty options. So actually, I think what you should do is you don't make an easy game difficult. What you do is you make a difficult game and then you create accessibility options for people who can't get through that really hard game or struggle with it. All right. So you make something that by design is brutal. It's super hard, right? And then you tone it down, right? Because when the game is easy by design, it's really hard to like artificially make it difficult. But if a game is hard by design, it's really easy to say, here's more healing items. Okay, here's more abilities that like allow you to deal with stuff. All right, here's more accessibility options, right? So you kind of have to design the game for challenge first. And then you create accessibility options so that people who aren't able to play through that challenge can get through it. Someone had mentioned, Drumjot had mentioned, for me, really hard game, it has to be really incredibly well designed. FF7R in hard mode and FromSoft games are a few of the rare games where I enjoy the high difficulty. Yeah. And when you play those games, though, you can like really tell with 7R, for example, that 7R is like designed for hard mode. Right? Like it's like when you start playing 7R in hard mode, you're like, this game's fucking genius, right? And I think playing like 7R on normal, you walk away with like, wow, that was like a really fun, good combat system. And then you play 7R on hard, and then you're like, actually, that combat system is generational, right? Like you walk away with this completely different impression of it after playing it on that hard difficulty. And your first run of Remake on hard mode is brutal. Like it's hard as shit. But you start to like learn things and notice stuff about the game, and you really dig into it, and it's awesome. Tyler! Hey brother, hope you've been good, man. Happy to catch the stream. Oh, I have been good. Thank you so much, man. Honestly, I think KH3 handles walking the line between difficulty and accessibility better than most FromSoft games. I think that KH like super bosses are harder than like a lot of FromSoft bosses. especially the ones in 2 and 3. Funny thing about 16 is that on my first playthrough, I wished it was harder, but then on F mode, the increased difficulty just felt like far more tedious as enemies took longer to kill. I mean, one of the things about 16 as well is that they kind of released a character action game into an audience that was used to playing like RPGs, and two, into a world that had been greatly influenced by the difficulty and design of Soulsborne games. And so when you had a game like that, the expectations kind of became build options should matter, and the game should be difficult, and I should be controlling party members, and there should be elemental weaknesses. And it launched into those circumstances where people had those expectations. And it didn't have those things. And so, of course, it kind of like, it didn't land necessarily with that audience because, that audience looking at the game without those things felt like it was devoid of a certain depth. And that's not to say that game doesn't have depth, right? I'm not making that argument, especially on, maybe Ultimaniac and stuff like that. I'm just saying that given the circumstances of games that came before it and the circumstances of what people expect from Final Fantasy and how they want to play those games, to them, it definitely felt like, well, I don't care about, chaining together just flashy combos, which is what you're supposed to do in a character action game. Like, that's like the core intent of the game. But most of the people, the audience that was playing the game, is not looking for that type of depth. And so because of that, it felt like it didn't have depth at all. And but yeah, most people just weren't looking for that in Final Fantasy. I personally can't say that I was looking for, that in FF. Like, not that combos are bad or anything. There are some character action games I like quite a bit, but that type of expectation with Final Fantasy, maybe not so much. I think my main issue with 16's combat is that it felt like half-like Dragon's Dogma and half-like DMC. If the game leaned harder into one or the other, I think I could live with it still being somewhat character actiony. Yeah, I thought it was going to be like a little closer to Dragon's Dogma, which I actually thought would have made like a lot of sense, because instead of having like pawns, you would essentially have like bearers, right? So you kind of would have recruited bearers back to the hideout, and then those bearers would function similarly to the way the pawn system currently does. So that would be awesome. I have not finished Lost Soul Assault, but I've been playing it here and there, like a little bit of it at a time on the weekends. I think it's fun, but yeah, it's definitely like that still. Low-key, Dragon's Dogma is underrated as fuck. Yeah, no, I think that Dragon's Dogma's system would have actually worked really well with like 16's concept, and it would have been cool if they actually ended up using that. Initially, we thought it was going to be closer to Dragon's Dogma because the actual button configuration that they showed in the right corner is very similar to like what you see in Dragon's Dogma. Shouldn't the game reward you for combos? That's kind of a miss, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to like intrinsic versus like extrinsic game design. So for some people, just doing the combo itself is the reward, right? Like for them, it's like just the act that I can pull it off is the fun, right? And then for other people, they're like, well, I'm not doing all that shit unless you like give me something or like there's some type of reward to it. Now, I feel personally the best games tend to have both, right? Like the best games tend to be like, you should do this thing because it's cool and you get a reward for doing that thing too, right? So it should be a loop in that sense. And also, a lot of the time, the reason the extrinsic reward exists is because the developer is saying, hey, we know this thing is really fun and it's not necessary to get through the game, but we really want you to engage with this thing. So we're going to give you like a new sword or whatever the fuck, or we're going to give you more money or whatever type of reward we can give you. And if you keep doing this, then you will eventually develop your own intrinsic appreciation of it, right? And so that's probably what the game should have done, is that it should have said, hey, here's like a style meter. Here's dynamic music like DMC5 does, where the music is going to play more fuller if you're doing the combos, and or we'll give you better loot, or any kind of thing. And that's like your cue to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to start doing this. And then as you started doing it, you would start to realize that, hey, just doing this for the sake of doing this is the way to properly play the game. It's how I'm going to enjoy engaging with it more. And so now I'm just doing it purely because it is a fun thing to do, and not because the game is telling me I have to do this thing in order to proceed. And I think that's probably the mistake that it makes, is not clearly communicating that. NSP, do you think 9R is still / was ever in development, and what's the reason it hasn't revealed yet? 9R is absolutely a real video game. The leaks, the trail behind it, the people who have seen it, it's real. I don't think for me there's any question on whether it's real or not. The evidence is there, and it's pretty hard. What's going on with it is I don't know, but it does seem to be in development hell. So that much is true. It is not doing well, whatever it is, because I think they meant to reveal it a long time ago. So it's either horrendously behind schedule, it is not up to par in terms of like what they expect from the visuals or the gameplay, and they've had to make several delays. Something is going wrong with it, but I do think it is real. NSP 16 has the same grade as Rebirth at player enjoyance level. The game is love. Twitter just loves rage bait. That's all. I don't know. I don't think that's true. That it's the same. I also think Twitter is probably like the most vocally loving place of the game. But actually, I would say that Rebirth is probably the most enjoyed FF game, which is funny because Rebirth is also like the most cynical on Twitter. But whenever I poll on the game, anything with Rebirth will always win any poll that I put up. Any YouTube community poll I put up, Rebirth will win it. I think most people really enjoyed the gameplay of the remake series, to the point of where the consensus that the remake series should be the future is pretty clear. But the problem that people have with Rebirth and Re-Trilogy in general is not with the combat, right? Like, or with the actual like gameplay itself. It has a lot to do with the game design, right? So like most of the criticism with Rebirth is basically maybe, well, I mean, if you say it's the algorithm, then you could say that about like anything, right? That you could say the algorithm, I mean, the algorithm causes all of us to have a very distorted view of reality, right? Everyone's living it kind of in like their own reality. But from what I can tell, I would say that Rebirth is still probably one of the most well received games from FF in like a very long time, at least from its core audience. Um, maybe remake more so, depending. But I actually think that like if we're strictly talking about the combat, then I would say that like 7R games are the most well received games. Period. But most of the criticism of Rebirth and 7R in general is not the combat. The combat is objectively like I don't want to say objectively. Um, a lot of the times when we say objectively, we mean collectively subjective, but the combat is collectively subjective, consensus agreed upon to be like the best combat ever. Remember that you're a content creator that people follow and engage with. You are people with strong opinions about your content. Well, I don't want to push back on that too much because it's not untrue. But I think I've gotten my ass beat on a lot of stuff, such that I don't think that a lot of people that's like holistically always true. Like for example, when I said that 7R's ending wasn't good, I definitely got my ass beat. I like got my ass beat into the ground. Now, what's funny is that I don't think that that's like a super unpopular opinion anymore. I think that a lot of people have like kind of started to like semi question the direction of the 7R trilogy to the point of where I don't think that that's like a hot take anymore. That's just like a normal take. But yeah. And similar with 16, there's a lot of people that would push back on like my assessment of 16 like you're currently doing, right? And you know, you would technically be more likely to agree with me by virtue of being, you know, in my community and being exposed to a lot of my thoughts, but yeah. I remember I didn't like KH3's ending at first. I remember getting cooked. Lol, it be like that. I'm not like actually, I don't have like a strong take on KH3's ending. Like, I don't like hate it or love it. But I do get why people hated it. Stardust Fire, happy birthday. I think people just really didn't want yet another cliffhanger ending. Okay, so if I was to like, my algorithm says 90% of criticism of Rebirth is based around the story. Yeah, most of the criticism of Rebirth is the story seems to be blueballing people. And the open world content is questionable, but like nobody is really saying that like I didn't like Rebirth's combat system. Right? I don't think anyone's like, oh, Rebirth's combat system was bad or like yeah, or anything like that. So and most people also seem to have consensus that they want combat like Rebirth in the future, so I think my ideal FF17 would be combat of Rebirth, linearity of Final Fantasy X, and the writing of 14 Shadowbringers. That'd be awesome. Ubisoft objectives might be the most accurate critique for the open world, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, for sure, Skyward. Like that's probably the biggest criticism of Rebirth is the structuring of the content and some of the content itself. Rebirth has so much content. It's like the most content dense Final Fantasy game ever. That's not an MMO, for sure. But yeah. Retrilogy's combat, visuals, music, character writing, mini games most of the time, and area design are stellar. The storytelling at pivotal moments, though, yeah. And that's always the hard part when talking about Retrilogy to me, is that on one hand, I think the Retrilogy games are some of the most brilliant video games ever made. Period. Like, period. When you look at the combat design, when you look at like the way the characters are handled, music, like bosses, the set pieces, it's one of the most brilliant video games ever. But then some of the story stuff that happens is just like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? The blueprint is always there, and like you don't have to like do all this, And so it is kind of like a burden for part 3 to figure out how to make that shit good. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does part 3 bring it all together in such a way that it's like, I feel so rewarded for having gone through all that. That's kind of the challenge. But like, Rebirth is like, what if Ubisoft games had good characters in an interesting world? I don't know, man. The story moments hit for me. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying that the story moments don't hit. I'm saying that, like, I'm saying chapter 14 and like that type of stuff, right? Like, and I'm not saying that, or Nanaki, which unfortunately felt like really rushed, or like Barrett and Dine, which was also kind of took a hit as well. And so the story is not like, oh, this is like a huge L. Like, in a lot of ways, it's like, I guess the best way I can put it, it's like the most ideal Final Fantasy VII Remake you can imagine, but it's layered on with some stuff that is not as ideal for the story. It's for a lot of people too, so I'm thinking all storytelling is always subjective for sure. But I guess I mean to point out that, like, for some people, some of the new elements that they added are a little a little, controversial, let's just say, and don't really land for people as much. So it just depends. And I think that's kind of like where the divide comes in. You don't think it'll land in part 3? I don't know. I genuinely don't. I can't say either way. But I'm very open to it, and I'm very hopeful for it. Giant Monkey Butt, thank you so much for the super chat. FF7R is the same writer who wrote Tidus getting his head blown off via Blitzball in a book, by the way. Okay, so to be fair, and again, thank you for the super chat, Nojima also wrote FF10 and FF7. So it's all the same guy. It's all the same guy. He has his moments. He also wrote Final Fantasy VIII. I love Final Fantasy VIII a lot, but Final Fantasy VIII also has like some like moments where I'm like, yo, what the fuck? But like, I would probably say that overall, Nojima is a great writer, and I really enjoy his work. But yeah, I think that, like, one thing that people need to I don't want to say get over. Kino, thank you so much. I think that, like, one thing is that, like, with great auteurs and like great creatives, there is kind of this idea that everything they make needs to be a hit or needs to be like 100% the goated best thing ever. And I don't really think that's how people should look at creatives and judge them. Like, for example, with Nomura, right? I think that Nomura has created so many incredible things. I think he's one of the greatest creatives that video games have ever seen. I don't think he's infallible. And I don't think that he's not like, he's never made like a bad thing that I think that some people would say. He's definitely made some stuff that was like, bro, you did not cook with this. However, when you look at like the broad portfolio of his work and everything that he's done and everything that he's contributed to, he has more W's than he has L's by far. And he has contributed more to Final Fantasy, Square Enix, and video games as a whole than like most people will ever do in their lifetimes, for sure. But a lot of the times, no one has 100% batting average. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But also as an artist, I don't think you're a good artist if you have a 100% batting average, right? Like, you're not really pushing shit if you do. Because if you do have a 100% batting average, then, like, you're not really taking risk. That or every risk you take is, like, 100%, like, always working out. 100%, the pressure to always be perfect is impossible and creatively stifling. They are doing what makes them feel fulfilled and are flourishing because of it. Right, exactly. So yes, do I think that Nomura has put out some stuff that I wasn't like a huge fan of, and like I think like I look back on it, I'm like, bro, that sucked. What were you thinking? Yeah, he definitely has, but you know, like I said, as I go back and I look at his legacy and everything that he's contributed to, he's done more good than bad, right? You know, this is the guy that came up with limit breaks. He's the guy that designed all of the most recognizable characters in FF for the most part. Most of his ideas, because a lot of people think that he's both his haters and his fans, oddly enough, love to use character designer as a way to either diminish or as a way to detract from all the things that he does. But like, I'll give you a perfect example, right? Like, Nomura helped write Final Fantasy VII. He was one of the original visionaries behind it. If you go look at the credits for the OG game, him and Sakaguchi are credited for the base concept of the game. He is literally credited as the guy who came up with, for the most part, Final Fantasy VII. Right? And that's why they made him the core visionary of the remake trilogy. So, you know, you can't really say that like he's not a genius or he's like the guy responsible for ruining all these different things, when really he's the reason that a lot of those things exist in the first place. Nomura is both a great character designer and also a great game designer. Yeah, man. And I'm really realizing how great of a game designer he is as I talk about Kingdom Hearts 1 in this essay. And I'm like, if you really have context for 2002 and him releasing Kingdom Hearts and the way that game's battle system works and how it like revolutionized action RPGs, man. People forget that FF7 was a huge risk at the time. Just the sci-fi elements was a huge departure. Right, sci-fi elements, the world kind of looked like semi-like New York, because that's what like Midgar is semi-based on, is New York, if you guys didn't know. And the character designs were way different, and they took a ton of risks, actually, with FF7. That was not a safe game at all. So, yeah, Gilgamesh and Cage 4 would go crazy. Especially if he was, like, wielding a bunch of Keyblades. Yeah. I think that would actually be like really fucking funny. What if they rebooted Final Fantasy with a full-scale Final Fantasy 1 remake and just called it Final Fantasy? I think rebooting the Final Fantasy games, like the NES ones, especially, would have been a great idea. And I think that's what Stranger of Paradise should have been. But they didn't make that. They made Stranger of Paradise. But that's why I'm glad Silent Hill F works. Silent Hill F exists. It takes risks. Not all of them work, but the ones that do, my goodness, yeah. I'm so fucking excited to play it. Low-key feel like Gilgamesh should be in every Square Enix IP from now on. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Gilgamesh should have been in 16, in my opinion. It's actually insane to me that that game has no super bosses, really. Because that seems like a game that like would have really benefited from super bosses. Why didn't that game have super bosses? Well, I think I know. A lot of it just has to do with the fact that the icon fights were just so expensive and time consuming that super bosses were probably. No. Wait, I'm back. I'm back. Let's go. I'm back. I'm back. Okay, sweet. Hopefully this doesn't happen during the state of play. I'm like, we just got like a solid hour almost of like no issues, or at least 30 or 40 minutes. So hopefully we're good. If it happens again, don't leave. It only takes like a few seconds for me to come back. So in terms of like expectations today, I don't really have any. I know we're gonna see Ghost of Yotei. I do actually expect to see Wolverine today. I think that actually we are going to see it. I have not played Magic the Gathering though, but I do hear that the Magic the Gathering FF cards are amazing. In a year or two, are we going to see Night Sky Baby introduced in the NSP lore? Like a kid? I mean, I am getting up there. Should probably think about that, huh? I don't know. Maybe. I don't not want to have him, but I don't want to have him either. You know what I mean? Uh I have no expectations, just wish for a Yoko Taro reveal. Yeah, for sure. By the way, NSP, my fiance and I went to a Korean style spa for our 8-year dating anniversary. First time, it was super relaxing. Would definitely recommend for you and your queen. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I love Korean spas. They're awesome. I've been before. They're great, very relaxing. Yeah, they're a great time. NSP, what do you think about FF17 taking inspiration from Trails or even Xenoblade with the positional attacks? Uh, I'm not like the hugest like Xenoblade battle system guy. Like I'm not like massively into that. I like it more with Trails. I like the turn based stuff with Trails more than did the stream die again? Oh my god, dude. What the fuck? Wait, no, it's not dead. Oh, it's buffering. Fuck. Twitch is still here. Oh my god, dude. Maybe I should restart like one more time before we get into the before we Yeah, Twitch never fails, but YouTube seems to be like finicky. Okay. Okay, we're good. I'll say it, Xenoblade Combat sucks doggy. I don't want to say it like sucks, but it is certainly not for me. That much I could say. That's not to say that I don't like Xenoblade games, but I will say that like I am not like as into the combat for them for sure. Like combat is not the primary thing that makes me play those games. I like the combat in Trails more. Like with Xenoblade, I do kind of just wish it was a turn-based game or an action game, rather than like kind of a tab target. But I do like Xenoblade. I don't dislike it. But I can't say I'm like super duper into the combat of Xeno games. But I do like the positional attacks of like Trails. Actually, okay. Maybe the solution is to update Okay, are we back? Okay. I think what I'm going to do, I'm thinking that we're just going to restart one more time before the state of play. No, it's not your internet. It's whatever is going on with either Streamlabs or with YouTube, or I guess probably with Streamlabs. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to restart this one more time. You guys are going to all come back. And you're going to promise me, it is my birthday wish, that you will all come back. And we're going to do this one more goddamn time, okay? We're going to do this one more goddamn time. And hopefully it works. Okay. It is only going to take me 1 second. I'll end the stream, and this just to make sure we have no issues before the state of play. Okay. So I'm going to end now. You are going to